Do you ever look up at the sky and think about the infinite realm of reality? Have you ever felt so small and insignificant? What is our place among the stars? Why is that easier to answer than what is my place among the stars? Is there infinite space and time?
Hi, Dad.
Science is half theory, half practice, but beliefs are stronger yet. Do you believe in space? Do you believe in time? Do you believe in yourself? Ad Astra's belief is that there is nothing else out there. There are no living beings in other worlds, no saviors, just the stars in the night sky and the people around us. We are not alone. We were never alone. Ad Astra is a film I hold near and dear to my heart. It forces me to confront my insecurities and demons and look at my life and what it all means to be human. Ad Astra was released in September of 2019, directed by James Gray, starring Brad Pitt, written by Gray and Ethan Gross, with cinematography by Hoyte van Hoytema. There actually are a lot of similarities to Gareth Edwards' upcoming The Creator movie, in that they're both original properties on the high end of the mid-range budgets with $80 to $90 million to produce it. They're both done by these art directors that add a well-realized sense of gravitas to their studio films, better than others. And while John David Washington is no Brad Pitt yet, he's got that star level in my eyes. Look at the film if you haven't yet, because it's a gem. It's a slow-crawling sci-fi film where the action scenes feel out of place and you'd rather watch Brad Pitt lose his mind mentally in the depths of space. As Tarantino said, it's Apocalypse Now in space. And it's a beautiful, haunting, and moving tale. So watch it if you haven't, and then come back. So I know Gray has come out that the producers and Brad Pitt changed quite a bit of the film. I'm not going to go into detail about all of that because, honestly, some of the changes I appreciate, and it seems like Gray is opposed to many of the changes that took place. So I'm only going to be covering the released film. If you want to take a deeper dive into the changes that were put place, I've got articles below that talk about that. Ad Astra is a deeply personal and introspective film. Pitt's character, Roy McBride, has to go through these mental checkpoints often. We hear his voiceover and his inner monologue throughout the film. It's a stream of conscious walk with him, and in turn, it makes you repeat the questions and words in your own head and think about yourself, your life, and the people around you. When it starts out, you find Roy has become a mentally detached person. He's a soldier, a tool. His wife left him because of it. Then the mission comes along. He has to personally reach out to his father, the acclaimed astronaut in a deep space mission, who has seemingly gone rogue and is about to wipe out humanity if he can't be brought down. Father, what have you done? What have you done to me? What have you done for me? Am I blind? Can I not see anything? I can't feel anything. Maybe you are trying, but I don't feel. And I'm dead for it. I'm a dead man on a mission to save everything and everyone else. The film's deeply personal character is the strongest element going for it. The visuals are maybe second to it, but that's the beauty of filmmaking, is that all of these elements are singular on their own. The score, the editing, the production design, the wardrobe, hair, writing, and producing, they all combine to make one thing. The only thing I don't like, admittedly, is the shoe-in action scenes. There's a few of them. And there's 3 of them that come in threes. And basically in every moment in the second act. And that's just it. They just feel like they are written in beats simply to have action. While the sound design of the moon scene is pretty fabulous, and the idea of the state of the moon being a land dispute ridden commodity, just being another capitalist society fighting for inches of land, is very cool and easily imaginable situation. The scene I take issue with is the crew that McBride is on. They're excused to stop at this distress call on another space station. I get the argument that for protocol and the ethical right to stop at the distress call, but the rabid baboons inside feel like an entirely different movie. It suddenly turns into a horror movie. It draws a lot of comparison to Apocalypse Now, because Apocalypse Now is the same thing. They're going up the river, and they stop and they find all these obstacles and complications come across. And they kind of do that here, and they're trying to add it more into the psyche of Brad Pitt's character, the toll that it's been taken onto him. And I understand the reason why they felt the need to add it. It adds action and complications and obstacles for McBride. And then later on in a different scene, he sneaks onto the craft and basically kills all of the crew. Or I should say manslaughters them all. You can also make the argument that this adds a lot of complexity to McBride's character, to ask the audience to still root for a man that has blood in his hands like this. It also adds to the level of desperation that he's at to finish the mission. Or that's what's on the page, but the subtext of this is what he needs to reconcile with his father, and nothing will stop him. The severity of it is always brought to McBride's character. It's deeply personal. You're either with it or you're not. I understand the qualms with the voiceover, and typically I don't like it because it's used as a storytelling hitch, and the VO seems like it will be that at the start, but I think it aids us along in McBride's head. I really eat up the questions that McBride poses, offering a peek inside his thoughts. They aren't just stating feelings, it's much more complex than that.
I'm being pulled farther and farther from the sun.
And paired with Pitt's mechanical performance on the surface, you can really tell what's going on underneath. Sometimes you want that nuance of what the character's thinking, but I think it totally works here. Because what he's thinking isn't absolute, it's not final, it's not one thing. 29 years. 25 years. 29 years gone. My whole adult life, you've been gone. I was raised without you. And you don't even want to see me. You don't regret leaving for your selfish reasons. I selfishly hate you. The design of the film is some of my favorite in science fiction. It takes and pulls from a lot of other things. I find the lighting and cinematography, especially in this scene, to be similar to Blade Runner 2049, and in general the whole movie is not very stylized, just like how Roger Deakins would shoot it. There's no light show, just perfect framing, encompassing the sets, camera movement, and lighting. Hoyte van Hoytema is one of the best working today, and I love we get to see him doing massive movies like this. Max Richter has made one of my favorite soundtracks. The movie is simply not as emotional without it. Some may say a film should work without a score, and yes, in an unemotional, story-centric way, a film should be able to tell a story with clarity without the score. But the emotional weight of it all is written by this music. I've only known Richter for his On the Nature of Daylight piece, which has got to be one of the saddest modern pieces of music ever. Here, he gets to make it into a whole film. It's gorgeous and depressing, and will absolutely pull at your heartstrings. Lorne Balfe is also credited as doing additional music. He's also done some of the Mission Impossible films recently. He's actually kind of like a Hans Zimmer type up-and-comer. I also love seeing Donald Sutherland too, just being in movies. Icon actor of the 70s returns. The greatest revelation in the film is that Rory's father was in a team of scientists out looking for signs of life in the distant reaches of our solar system. Their entire goal of the mission was to simply find life, intelligent or not. Once Rory finds his father, he admits to killing the rest of the crew because they couldn't find any life after years of searching, and they were going to give up. A lot of them came to the conclusion that there may not be life outside of our home planet. And that infuriated Clifford McBride, so he wouldn't let them leave. They were going to jeopardize the mission. So Clifford McBride is still on mission all these years later, searching for other life outside of Earth, outside of home. He's so desperate to find out what else is out there, what else isn't on Earth. So caught up with what he doesn't have, he misses what is right in front of him. Rory's father seems to realize his actions after a while, the way his son looks at him and how lifeless he's become, so mechanical, a robot with eyes and a heart. So he decides to kill himself, to float out in the darkness of space and be swallowed by nothing. That's how he goes out. He tells Roy to let him go, and to me, he's physically telling him to let go of the rope so he can float on and in his life. But that's not what the actual meaning of it is. Physically, yes. It's more about letting the idea of him go. Rory's life has been shrouded by the absence of his father. His father's not even there, and it still affects him. It's time to let him go, move on, and take his life back.
Let me go, Roy. Dad.
Roy finally lets him go. It's painful, but necessary. They cut back to a conversation we didn't see before they leave the station. And Roy's uploading his father's work to take back to Earth. Thousands of photos of cold, desolate, beautiful, isolated, perfect worlds that sit alone and untouched by humanity and that we may never reach. The idea of no other life in the universe is an incredible perspective shift. It's one of the reasons my stance on extraterrestrials was so strong in the not believing side for so long, even though now I'm more of a skeptic of the thought at most. It can be as grandiose of an idea that we should focus more on the real world problems that humans face today, or as personal as seeing someone in your life that's doing good for you, because I bet there's at least one person out there that cares for you. And you may not feel like it or know it, but they are there. So quit looking to the stars every night and pivot to the person next to you, because we're all we've got.
Your loving son, Roy.